Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Welcome, everybody. This is Dr. Homebrew. We're live in the studio in Concord, trying not to cough up our insides.
Yeah. AQI 250 approximate.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I was trying to check the air quality. What the hell just happened?
It's really bad.
Yeah,
That's
the website's down.
Yeah, the website's been down a lot of the day today. Actually.
Yeah, it's
too many people checking because they care about their lungs.
That's true. Nicole was in here yelling at Eric, "You got to shut the outside bar down."
Yeah,
he's like, "I don't care."
There's like people hanging out on the patio because they're dumb.
They'll do whatever they want, man.
This is America.
They're all adults. It's 197 in Concord. Apparently, Bev is holding up her phone.
That's improved significantly since we started recording this evening.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Congratulations, Concord.
You might not choke when we go back outside.
That's true. Maybe. Not if we can help it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Today on the show, we have Cody on the phone. We're going to call him up in just a sec. And then we have Gabe and Ryan in the studio. I like the local boys coming in and dropping some beers off and hanging out. Apparently, there's like 1,000 people out there. They're all with Gabe and Ryan.
Hanging out with these guys, yeah.
You guys brewed this together, whatever we're going to taste?
Because you're so popular.
Yeah, we did last November.
Nice. Okay, last November. Wow. Thoroughly aged.
I don't even know who I am. Do you know who you are?
No.
Nicole breaks out her radio voice here every time we start, and then it slips into the regular Nicole voice as we go.
USA Up All Night with Nicole and Nicole and Brian, of course, as always. Not as always, but
this
time.
It's like whatever. It's fine.
Whatever. It's Nicole and Brian.
No Brian squared this time.
Nobody cares.
Pretty much. This is how it goes. Welcome to the Brewing Network, Nicole. I don't know if you've ever heard anything about the Brewing Network, but nobody cares about you when you're on the show.
Uh-oh, the caffeine's kicking in, guys.
I told you.
Nicole just heard the word caffeine. She's like, "Oh God."
They gave me coffee beer. I'm gonna
be up till Christmas.
This is gonna be a fun show.
It's gonna be amazing. Trying to get Cody on the line here. Cody, are you there?
We are not available now. Please leave your
Cody.
Cody has a really good radio voice.
That's a great voice.
Nicole, leave a message. Yeah.
Hey, Cody. This is Dr. Homebrew. We were here to talk to you about your beer.
Hi, Cody.
Hi.
We really need to talk to you about your results from your test.
The results.
Jesus Christ.
We need you to call us back at your convenience.
With a triple verification to make sure that you are actually whomst you say you are.
We had an unusual lab result. We need to make sure you didn't switch your urine sample with that of a monkey.
All right, well...
We didn't drink no urine sample, did we, Brian?
I hope not.
That's actually...
I'm not trying to drink some monkey urine sample tonight. Let me just say.
It's funny you mentioned that. Ashton Kutcher, come in, please, and punk her ass. Is that show still on?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
All right. Well,
Ashton has better things to do now.
Does he? Not Demi Moore.
Not anymore?
Brian, why don't you go ahead and start with Cody's Helles. We're going to drink a Helles today.
Okay, let's open this thing.
And if he calls me back, I'll put him on the phone. And if not, then I won't do that.
Okay. Cody, we're opening your sample.
But I do like drinking Helles beers. I think that it's a very hard style to do, especially as a home brewer. I mean, if you just think of the amount of commercial Helles that are out there that are terrible... and these are people who get paid to do it. So as a home brewer, you do it for free. It's probably pretty hard.
All right. Okay, coming into the aroma, I'm getting a pleasant, low, grainy, lightly bready malt in there. Floral hops, kind of low. Fairly fresh smelling, actually, to me, other than, it's the malt, the way it's expressing itself is a little, maybe a little honey-like on the edge, but not terrible. Getting a, the sulfur elements of the beer are kind of low and in check. No obvious esters. It seems like it was cleanly lagered. Had a faint kind of fruitiness in there. But it seems pretty clean. No DMS, no diacetyl. I like, the appearance. It's brilliantly clear. Has a nice, really nice clarity to it, as you should have with one of these. Color-wise, it's a kind of a yellow to slight grayish, light gold. It's a yellowy kind of grayish gold color. I don't know how to explain it. It looks almost pink when you look at it in a way.
I think you mean greige.
Greige. It's greige. There we go.
Color of the year. No, it's not.
Had a low white head that faded very soon after pouring, so not to the point for head retention, but mostly fine bubbles. It seems, well-formed head just drops real quick. It starts pretty low.
Yeah.
Flavor-wise, nice Pils malt. Expresses itself with kind of a minerally quality to me, though, that just kind of distracts somewhat.
Well, we got Cody on the line. Cody.
Hey, good evening.
What's up, dude?
Sorry, I missed your call.
That's all right. You may or may not have a voicemail.
You may or may not have a lab result from your doctor.
Anyway, we'll let Brian finish, and then we'll get to you and all about the beer, and then we'll let Nicole go on.
Great, yeah.
So just hang on, Cody. Chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, bro.
Okay. Yeah. So,
go ahead, Brian.
Flavor-wise, the Pils malt's coming across kind of a little minerally quality to it. That kind of distracts me a little bit. It comes across just a bit watery. It's light. It's a light beer. It shouldn't be a heavy, big, huge beer, but it's like even lighter than for the style. Just a little watery. Finish is very dry. Just a little too kind of crisp for the style. You want that soft, bready, base malt, the Pils malt to come across a little more freshly, I guess. And in that sense, it's kind of got creeping in with a light, kind of very light papery note. So like a little oxidation there, apparently. The bitterness is very restrained. That's nice. The balance is even, I would say, malt to the hops in the kind of main, middle palate. But it's very dry, and then as it finishes and it dries off the palate, the hops do kind of linger into the aftertaste. Is what I got with that. So I wouldn't say that the hops are excessively high, but they kind of just they seem to even, and then they just kind of slightly win there. But it's not like, this is a big hoppy American version of a Helles. It's not anywhere near that kind of territory. Body wise, it's maybe a little too light bodied. It should be reasonably light, but it's even just kind of like light American lager light almost. It seems on the low side for body.
Yeah, I get that.
The carbonation is pretty low, but it's still like a little. The crispness makes it feel a little, not biting necessarily, but has a little edge to it. It should just be a little bit softer than that on the feel. No warmth or astringency, really. And it's not very creamy. It's just a little kind of a crisp, light beer. Overall, it seems like a nicely brewed recipe. I think that with a beer like this, there's not much to hide behind. So the fact that you brewed it without any big flaws in there is fantastic. Great job keeping those out. I think it might be a cause to work on the water in this. Maybe use something with a little less mineral.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that was actually the one when I was going to talk about my points that I had. The water I knew was a little screwy.
Okay.
So that was one thing I wanted to bring up.
I'm tasting the water, and I shouldn't. It should just taste the.
Yeah, the minerality is pretty prominent.
What's the Olympia slogan? It's the water, man.
It's the water,
man.
It's the water. That shit's the water.
So and then just the light oxidation that's creeping in. It could be if you're drinking it from a keg, it's just fine, and the bottled sample is getting a little papery. These beers aren't going to travel well, but. I think it's pretty fresh, so I don't know and how long ago it was brewed, but you just want to reduce oxygen contact and Yeah.
Cody actually lives next door, so it
He
didn't
does.
really,
okay.
So.
Come on over, Cody. Yeah, we're having
pretty
a party.
close, I think, or pretty quick.
Yeah.
We're having a party here. Yeah, you don't want to come into the smoke here. I gave it like a 32. I thought it was a pretty decent beer, but it's just like a little...
Like a 32 or a 32?
I gave it a 32. It's
like
a very good...
32 because he's from like California.
Well, I'm thinking about it now, and it's like there's not really much
avocado
wrong with it. So
like it was
I decided that I was gonna.
We should do a score sheet like that. So okay,
it was like pretty good.
The smell was like kind of good and stuff.
How do I get to your house? Do I drive down the 5 and then go on the? Do I turn by Rancho Cucamonga?
Sorry, you give it a 32, you said?
Yeah.
Like a 32?
32.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
It's a very good beer.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Nicole, go ahead.
I had some slightly different observations than Brian. Most notably, I'm known for being hypersensitive to acetaldehyde, so I pick it up at low threshold.
Whether it's there or not. What?
No. It's there.
Just say that.
I assure you. There's a low level acetaldehyde aroma. What's interesting about it is that it blends really well into the kind of faint hop aroma that's present. But for me, I didn't like being able to smell hop aroma in a Helles. I that's not what I'm looking for when I'm drinking Helles. I'm looking for a shrine to Pilsner malt. That's what I'm looking for. There's also a light sulfur tone that's very faint. That's really detracting a lot from the overall aroma. So even though you can just barely detect and identify that sulfur character, it's having a big impact on the flavor.
Is it like a DMS? It's not like an H2S or anything like that.
I think it's an H2S, but it's there's also I picked up a slight DMS where Brian didn't. It's not prominent. It's kind of what you expect in a Pilsner malt driven beer. I didn't really dock any points for like the low level of DMS that I detected. There was also in that kind of hop aroma, I detected a slight woodsy character. I think that's coming from maybe hops that are a little past their prime. It's kind of a beta Damascenone, so it's kind of like that red wine berry /
I love that
branches. Like it's beta Damascenone tastes like a lot of different things.
Mastodon? What?
In different contexts.
It does kind of smell like oxidized Merlot. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but now that you said that.
A branchy thing or like a... Yeah. It's very faint. But the thing with... I meant to preface everything. The thing about Helles...
I'm on drugs. And...
the thing about Helles is like, it's like... that's a really not good example. There's nothing to hide behind, It's like wearing a very skimpy bathing suit on the beach. Like, if you have anything that you'd rather people not know about, well, too bad. You're wearing a skimpy white bathing suit on the beach. That's what a Munich Helles is. Like, if it's not perfect, those imperfections are very, very visible. There's nowhere to hide.
The water's cold. Be kind.
So
the beer also came out a little warm when we first judged it too. So that was another thing about it was a little challenging to judge it.
Those imperfections definitely, came out more. Let's see. I agree with Brian about the nice bready aromas. Although I did note that because of the slight acetaldehyde that was there's a little bit of extra yeastiness going on along with that minerality. Like there's kind of more Wonder Bread, less baguette, which you want more like cracker, graham cracker, baguette, not so much yeasty store bread, know, because that's that smell of those store breads is that there's hella yeast in those,
Yeah.
Let's see. I thought the color was a little dark for Helles, which is pretty picky. Well, I'll be honest, but the bitterness was also a little more apparent than I wanted to. I don't really want to notice the bitterness in Helles. It's a very narrow beer style, very narrow parameters, and it should be just here's Pilsner malt, here's what it tastes like, in a really clean context. I was thinking that the beer might be a little long in the tooth. I was getting a little bit of leaning towards caramel and some of the malt flavors. So I was kind of wondering about that. I noted that there is some graham cracker and crackery Pils malt character, but like that little bit of DMS, that little bit of acetaldehyde, that little bit of sulfur character, it's kind of obstructing the view, if you know what I mean. Like, I can see the good beer, but there's smoky
hazy,
haze
right? Yes, there you go.
Right back at you.
Funny thing. What was really funny is that it reminded me a lot of like Kona Longboard Lager. You know, like it had like, you know, which is that beer, like this one, is a little more aggressive than a Helles. There's a little more bitterness. There's a little more flavor. And there are some, you know, usually when we get that beer around here with a couple months on it, you taste a little acetaldehyde, you taste a little DMS, and some of the flavors aren't as good as, you know, if you get to go to Hawaii and drink it there. Yeah. Those are my notes.
Where'd you land?
31.
We were close, yeah.
All right, not too bad.
Took different directions to get there, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit, but not far. I mean, like, you know, like I said, like all the things that both Brian and I noticed are subtle. This is a very subtle beer style, and you get these like faint impressions of these different things.
And it's weird, you know, when you say you're talking about the sulfury, and I say no DMS, it's just like, oh, I didn't get the big like cooked corn thing in it, but there is, you know, I mentioned there is the sulfury element there. But it's low and in check. It's not out of line for a lager. But do you kind of agree, Nicole, with kind of just the general dryness of the beer being a little too much?
I'm okay with the beer being dry. Oh, here's what I want. Here's the other thing I wanted to say. I couldn't read my own handwriting. So one of the issues with this beer is that the pH seems a little bit too low. So it seems that low pH is kind of contributing to that.
Right.
Definitely contributing to that minerality character. And it's definitely, when you have a lower pH, you push out volatiles a little bit more. So you're going to notice sulfur more. You're going to notice DMS more because you have this more, acidic
environment or whatever.
Like there's more opportunity for things to escape.
Interesting.
Low pH can really, really change the profile of a beverage. And I think that's, that could both be caused by inappropriate water chemistry, and then also it's accentuating in turn, like, us noticing that water chemistry is also causing that like watery thinness. So I'm not saying it's sour. I'm not saying it's contaminated. I'm saying that the pH is too low.
Right. And there's other things like that too. When you just get a beer that's super either highly carbonated or just way too low carbonated, it changes the overall impression of the beer so much you can't ignore it. It's just like, wow, that's just an inherent part of the beer that drives this or pulls back from this, you know? So acidity's kind of, in a different way, does kind of the same thing.
Cody, how you doing? You all right?
Excellent. Yeah, no, I started off with a liter of this beer, so I'm out in the garage drinking it by the kegerator. So regardless of what you guys told me, I would be drunk enough to handle the blows.
Hell yeah!
Or enjoy the the glory,
the sweet taste of victory.
Actually, no, all the points they touched on, I couldn't agree more, and I'm glad. Well, I'm glad you guys that touched on the water, because that was definitely the first thing I noticed with this batch of this recipe. So what do you guys want, like the recipe?
Yeah. Do it up.
What
Tell us
can I
about the
give
water
you?
first.
I guess let's start. Yeah, I'll start with the malt bill. Actually, I have to come clean. I ripped off Chad's Helles.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good
so
person to rip off a Helles from.
Pils,
what do you say?
5% light Munich, 1% melanoidin, and 1% biscuit.
Okay.
Right. I lowered the original gravity from whatever Chad had, so I purposely only made it about 10.5 Plato and finishing at about 2 Plato. So it is out of style, I think.
Yeah.
I know it's out of style for at least the ABV is only 4.5. And
you almost go to like light American lager or something.
Yeah, so it's the tagline that I went with when I won a competition with this recipe last year, but the tagline I went with is beer-flavored beer, and that resonated with a lot of people. But no, that's kind of what I was going for is the taste of like the first taste you have as a beer as a kid is, or at least for my generation and probably you guys, was a light American lager. And when you taste it as a kid, it's got really strong flavors, even though it's a light beer. But those flavors are pronounced, as a child. So I'm kind of was shooting in that direction. So I'm glad. Nicole said it was a longboard lager. That's kind of funny.
If you need it, can use more
I grew up,
carbonation.
drinking my dad's beer, and that was Red Dog and Henry Weinhard's and MGD and
Jesus Christ. Yeah, how old are you? Like 14 then? I drank Red
29.
Dog. Yeah, okay. Oh, shut. That's all right.
Yeah. I'm a youngin'.
Yeah.
I'm an old soul, though.
Asshole.
That's what we used to call micro brews,
Shut up, you're not that old.
What about the hops? You want to throw the hops in the recipe there, too, just because?
Yeah, exactly. So Nicole also mentioned that it had a woodsy flavor, and as Brian mentioned, too, that it was kind of stronger on the hop, just hops in general. So it was bittering its nugget, so totally off, out of character. And total IBU, I think I calculated about 20. But nugget for bittering, about 10 grams. And then Sarah Brianca, which was kind of a random, I got on a hop sale, I'll come clean. And I totally agree. It probably was really old, too, when I got it, because it was, like $5 a pound.
What were the hops that Bill and Sarah used in the last show? Was that the same? It sounds very similar.
No, it was something else. What it was.
I think it's a Russian noble hop is what I remember reading.
Wow. In this social climate, use Russian hops? Terrible.
They use St. Cilia.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So that was a half ounce, 15 grams at 10 minutes in the boil.
Okay.
That's really brave, using unknown sale hops as your flavoring charge.
Lager.
I got it. Yeah, I took some chances. That's actually, for what it's worth, that's what I won the competition with.
It could have turned out a lot worse. Yeah,
for sure.
You just never know. Could have just been blue cheese.
Well, how old is the beer? How long has it been around?
So this batch I brewed on actually almost 2 months ago tomorrow, September 16th.
All right.
And then it has been, I guess, lagering since October 1st.
That's pretty good.
So yeah,
I would have preferred it if it was brewed next week and then you shipped it back in time to us. But
back in time.
What are you going to do?
So the water, I will admit that was what I was going to come clean after you guys judged it, but you guys totally picked it out. I made the cardinal rule of fucking with water when I have no testing material. So
Jesus Christ.
Why?
There you go. Why? I know, right? Well, so I started with adding some lactic acid because on these lighter beers, and I noticed sparging. I was getting astringency in the later sparges. I batch sparge, so on the last sparge, I was it was running clear, and it had a noticeable astringency. And trying to lower the pH to avoid that, I added a smidge of lactic acid, and obviously a smidge is not a.
But you added it to the wort that you collected, or?
I'm sorry? I added it into the sparge water.
To the sparge water. Okay, okay.
Before I put it over the grain.
I mean, but with some beers. But I don't go too heavy with it with a beer like this.
Yeah, a little bit goes a long way, man.
So then I noticed that. Obviously, I picked up on it in the taste, and I maybe a couple days before I bottled it and sent it off to Jason, I tried to amend that problem with some. Oh God!
With started into the bottle before I
with
bottled
some baking soda, actually. So in the glass, this is what I was experimenting with. In the glass, I've noticed,
a little baking soda.
I think maybe you can correct me, but the higher pH kind of expresses malt more, and lower pH expresses kind of hops. Is that correct, or either way? I noticed it was a little tart. And I alleviated that with some baking soda. I'm sorry, Nicole?
You're not going to take it totally away. And then baking soda gives a really That really explains.
Kind of
like,
is that minerally flavor that you guys are picking up?
Feel
Carbonate, yeah.
So Evian water is my least favorite thing on the planet. Like, if I was dying of thirst, I would, and the only thing that was left was a bottle of Evian, I would think about it for a second.
Keep crawling down the desert.
All right, fair enough.
And because it gives that like weird slickness, and there's a taste. Like,
what's your favorite bottled water? Let's get into that.
What's my favorite?
Yeah,
bottled
let's
water?
unpack that.
Yeah,
She drinks artisan bottled water.
I do like smart water. Like when I'm
Smart water's good, dude.
When I'm super
Not gonna lie.
hungover and I don't want to put anything in my body, like that's one that or like what's that other one? It's so fucking pretentious. Essentia. Yeah, that one's good.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know.
So he fixed it with baking soda. I mean, it sounds like a last-minute water hack kind of worked out, and it
was noticeably more tart, more acidic. Like I actually, my first taste of the batch, I almost thought like, oh shit, I've, got some sort of acidic, and then I look back at my notes like, well, no, I didn't taste that anywhere,
Well, if it
down
was
the line.
acidic,
but once it was,
no amount of baking soda would take it away.
Yeah.
It would still have that organic acidic aroma. It just wouldn't be as sour. Like by adding baking soda, you can't change what organic chemicals are there. You can only change the pH.
So the lower pH was making it tart, not sour, right? Is that kind of the differentiation?
It was making it acidic, but
It was making it acidic, but
sour-like flavors.
It sounds like there's a taste of lactic acid regardless of the pH. Then, right?
No. I don't get any lactic acid. I don't get any lactic acid aroma.
But do you get baking soda?
It doesn't taste like a kettle sour.
So then you think there is an acidic contamination?
No. There's no contamination. It's just really low pH.
Okay.
And there's a lot of minerals here from everything that's been added.
You can have a low pH or something that's highly acidic without having lactic or acetic acid, which are biological products, right? Those things come from bacteria that produce them, and
from Gaia or the Mother Earth.
And
right,
yeah, they have an aroma aspect to them because they're organic, not in the hippie sense, but in the like chemical sense,
right?
Compounds, and the low pH, that came from that pure lactic acid that you put in, it's doesn't have like the associated, like characteristics that you would get from lactobacillus or pediococcus or some other lactic acid producing bacteria, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. I've tasted contaminated, sour beer. Yeah. And there's definitely some more flavors going on.
Cody, you're a homebrewer. Of course you have. Yeah, for sure. Do you have any questions for the crew before I let you go? Anything?
I do. Let me. So I was noticing you guys mentioned it tasted watery, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with the water, as we were just talking about. But for these small beers, I hit a fairly high efficiency on mash or extraction efficiency, and I remember Brew Strong or whatever in the past stating that on lower alcohol beers, and I guess just any beer, the first runnings are of higher quality, and I'm wondering if by brewing these small beers and getting really high efficiency or extraction efficiency, is that a detriment to these beers? Should I almost lower my efficiency and add more grain, or is that just pointless?
Fuck, I don't know.
If you add, if you
what's
try
the
to
meaning of life, JP?
It's an interesting idea. I mean, this beer is a shrine to Pilsner malt, and you want a lot of that flavor to get in there.
Well.
And it's like, how much more expensive is it going to make your beer, right? Like, I mean, that's
true.
Efficiency at the end of the day is about there's a lot of reasons for it, but part of it is about economy. As a home brewer, you really don't have to worry about that because that extra half a pound of grain is not going to really make a difference in your batch price.
You said your batch
for sure. It was almost more so just, I guess, with the crush I was getting. I brewed this once before and I got really too high efficiency for the alcohol and the original gravity I was shooting for, and I actually diluted it. One time I'd made it. I added water post boil to get to my.
Do you recall? Was that one
target original gravity?
Wait, hold on. So
not for this batch. That was in the past.
But you said
so. This batch, I purposely lowered the base malt because accounting for my high efficiency, I suppose.
So you just said that you added lactic acid to the sparge water this time because you'd had astringency issues in the past. Yeah.
Correct.
But you also
yeah.
just told me that you've had too high extraction in the past. Because
leading to the astringency, or leading to too much sugar, right?
Yeah, your astringency issue has nothing to do with the acidity of your sparge water. It probably has to do with your crush.
Just pulling too much out of the malt, and you get more of the husk component. Yeah.
So. Something that's really tough for when we're homebrewing, because it's a hobby and we just want to make the best beer we can. We change too many things at the same time. I think you changed too many things at the same time. You probably would have fixed your astringency issue just by reducing the crush on your grain, and maybe you don't really need to mess with your water. I mean, pull your water report, find out. Maybe you do need to mess with your water a little bit, but maybe you fix that astringency issue, because I didn't get any astringency in this beer. Did you, Brian?
No.
I didn't either. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Who cares, JP? Maybe you fixed your astringency issue just by reducing that crush.
So it's like an overfix by changing two things. It like fixed one problem, but caused another.
Way to go, Cody!
Thanks for testing us here too, bro.
I like to overcompensate. So another question.
Does Cody?
I was wondering how to increase the lacing or the head retention on this beer. Is there a kind of a cheat? Is there a quick fix?
What I used to do is get a commercial beer, and I would take all of the foam off top of that, and then put that in the bottle when I bottled, and that seems to work pretty well for me. I don't know. Sorry, someone answer. My brain worms are hurting.
We're all on smoke brain here. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's protein, that kind of medium chain proteins, or if you. I don't know if you're not probably doing a too many weird step mash rests along the way, and the malts that we get are already modified. If you're going to do too much, you're going to pull out some of those proteins away from there and reduce them down to smaller chain proteins, which are going to break down more quickly. But
yeah, make sure your mash temps are on point, basically.
Yeah.
To decipher what Brian just said.
Okay. I'm rambling.
For this beer, I'd just do a.
I don't want to say just throw in a few ounces of wheat, man.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Cody.
I mean,
what were you saying?
You can always do stuff like a little addition of carafoam and whatever.
Okay.
But
I just mentioned that I had done a single, or for this beer, I only do a single infusion, pretty low, like 150.
It could also be a pH issue.
The acidity, yeah.
Okay,
low pH is going to kill your head, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
Get an eye.
Oh, my God.
There you go.
Cause two problems.
Hey, so what would you recommend? I mean, Nicole said pull the water report. I live in Petaluma, and I don't know how much that changes over the year. What do you? Is there anything you can recommend to test my water at home?
Find out if you're on the same.
Plug your product, JP. Don't you have a library for this?
Dude, that's it. Well, I did on the last show, but get an idea. SmartBrewKit.com, dude.
Then you'll know, yeah.
Go up to Windsor and ask a guy called Vinny at Rush and River.
I mean, you live in Petaluma. There's some major breweries in your area. Like, make friends.
Good point.
I mean, find out if you're on the same water in the same water system.
Yeah.
Same water source.
Yeah.
Same water source as municipal water source as Lagunitas or Hen House, and ask them, like, what's your water like? Because they're testing their water all the time, because they have a lot of bucks riding on their that consistent water. So
or start with RO and build up.
You can always do that.
Okay.
You guys have hard water up there, so it can be tricky.
That reminds me, I got to pat myself on the back here a little bit. For that competition, I won last year with this recipe. The prize was I got to brew this recipe at at 101 Brewery, which is across the street from Lagunitas.
Yeah.
They're kind of in the Maker district, but
Hey, you have that email
Lagunitas
address,
had a
ask
hand in
them.
that. They actually saved the day by lending Joel some lager yeast because whatever yeast he had ordered didn't show up in time.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, Lagunitas did play, at least in the commercial batch version of this. They helped me make this beer.
Heineken likes to do that shit, I guess.
Did they call it beer flavored beer? Was it the name of it, or what did they call it?
No, it was the name of the beer. I don't think it's so. The name of this beer is Durstlöscher, which means
I hate it.
thirst quencher in German.
Yeah, I would never order.
Or douche-lager. Douche-lager is the colloquial name.
That I would order. I would order douche lager. If it's spelled like douche and lager, that I would order.
It's absolutely spelled like douche.
Yeah.
You know, the tagline for my brewery is beer for snobs and slobs. So.
Shit.
We like your style, Cody.
All right, Cody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, and we'll let you go. I don't know. Do default on your
try to
student
breathe
loan or
easy.
whatever.
With
I don't know what millennials do. Yeah, for sure, man.
Thanks for coming on. Send us some more beer sometime. Work on this house.
I will.
Though.
Oh, yeah, wait. One more question. That reminds me. What's the wait time to get on the show again, and how does one do that?
You're not allowed on the show again for another year.
Email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com. And
we'll get you back.
We'd love to have another one of your beers. And have you in the
thanks,
studio
Nicole.
sometime.
Hey, also, Nicole, I met you once in was it Herlinda Harris's class? Yeah, you came and did a talk I think last year. That was cool, and I'm honored you got to taste my beer. But also,
anything else you want to say?
Next time
Cody?
I'll do better. I'll get a water test kit.
Yeah, you want to tell us about your day?
Yeah, okay, that's it.
All right. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
All right, good night, guys.
All right, later. Jesus Christ, I'm trying to get off the phone.
He's a character. I like Cody.
So, did I tell you? You want to go? Okay. So
JP's got the second show blues over here.
I'm just ready to go home. It's 10:16, and I still have to sit here for another 45 minutes and edit the show. And we still have another show. So, I
tomorrow.
I have to come all the way out here tomorrow. I'm not trying to do that shit. All right, we're gonna take a break real fast, and we're gonna talk to Gabe and Ryan, who are in studio, and hopefully don't have a whole lot of shit to say. This is Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Games.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star San, SanaClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Before we get to the beers we have in the studio, I want to remind you guys, if you want to renew your AHA membership, you should do it now because you're getting 2 free books. Ooh. Wild Brews and Farmhouse Ales. Go to the American Homebrew Association website or click the web banner on our site. If you go to the American Homebrew Association site, enter BN2018 is the promo code, and you'll get your books, and you'll get a rad membership to a rad organization that's definitely helping us out. And because whether you want to believe it or not, there's still a bunch of homebrewing and just drinking laws in general that need changing. So
renew your vows with them, man. And then you get to go to HomebrewCon, too.
That's true. You get to enter HomebrewCon, too, by the way. So that'll be cool. All right, Gabe and Ryan are in the studio. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And you guys are a homebrewing duo, or do you guys just collaborate on this one?
Just the one-time collab.
Just the one time?
I like homebrewing duo. Can we just roll with that? I mean, this is improv.
Yeah,
yes,
we've been
and.
a homebrewing duo since we started, right?
Yeah.
Which one of you is Robin and which one is Batman?
Yeah, Ryan's like, I don't care, dude. Whatever, it's fine.
Batman, dude.
How long have you guys been homebrewing?
It's been 8 years for me.
Okay. Ryan?
Probably 3 years.
3 years? Okay. Still a little baby. A little homebrewing baby.
Full tyke.
All right. That's cool. You guys in the same homebrew club, or how did you collaborate on this beer? Did you guys...
this is the guy that got me into it, right? So
Okay.
I actually studied chemical engineering in college, so batch biosystems, right? Like
You're
that's
smarter
my
than
bread and
us.
butter. Yeah. Always loved beer, but this guy kind of, that hobby and one of the guys we got out in the bar right now, them two kind of got me into it. So
Yeah. Knowledge transfer.
Awesome.
Yeah, so like biochemists and engineers and stuff, they make some of the best beer.
They really do, yeah, absolutely.
It's all about process.
So tell me about this beer that you guys brewed together.
Yeah, sure. So we wanted to make kind of a bigger porter, based it on Deschutes Black Butte.
Okay.
Kind of bumped that up. My dad gave me some cocoa nib syrup from More Beer, so I figured I'd try that out.
Okay. All right.
And have had good success with coffee beers in the past, and kind of turned it up to 11 by doing
This one goes to 11.
exactly pretty hefty amount of cold brew in our porter.
Okay.
And with any luck, we'd turn it into a once a year collaboration.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very good. Did you make the cold brew yourself?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I could go ahead.
No, what beans did you use? How did you roast them yourself, or what?
Didn't roast the beans myself. I did.
Jesus, come on, dude! What
I
kind
can't
of?
believe I'm drinking this.
I know. It's not completely homebrewed.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so insulted.
Please tell me they're at least artisan roasted by a local craft coffee company.
It is Allegro Mexico roast.
Okay.
Medium roast.
Yep.
I did 18. Ended up with 18 fluid ounces for 2.5 gallons of beer. 8 ounces.
I don't know if that's a lot or not.
8 ounces of beans in roughly 5 cups of water. So it's fairly concentrated.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Nicole, you want to start off on this beer, please? Thank you.
Sure. Let's see. The additional nose I got was like a roasted green bell pepper, and then quickly followed by Hershey's chocolate syrup. I got a little touch of a solventy kind of nail polish remover aroma. Then chocolate pudding. There was a slight chipotle pepper aroma, which was confusing. And then kind of a taster's choice, just straight up hey, that's coffee. Finishing coffee note. Not a lot of ester or phenols or anything like that. Maybe a slight cherryish note, which could be coming from the coffee. The appearance is this very cup of coffee, reddish brown. The head formed just enormously, very loamy, like lots of big bubbles in there, and then it retained very poorly, which you would expect for a beer that has fat in it, as a cold brewed coffee beer would. But the excessive formation of head was kind of like a, whoa, what's going on here, you know?
And the nibs would do that too, right? Because there's the fat in the cocoa.
As the bottle sat there, it also crept out too.
Yeah. No, so the fats wouldn't help formation of head. The fats are gonna like make the head dissipate quickly.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So the fact that the head formed
at all
that intensely in the presence of fat, that was kind of like a, whoa, what's going on here?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And then it did continue to creep. Like we poured, a third of the bottle out, and then we noticed as we were judging that it was like spilling over.
About to go on to the electronics here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't tell Justin that. He would not be happy. Then in the flavor, I got that high acid character that you do get from a beer that has coffee in it, because coffee is really acidic. But I was almost wondering if there was a little bit of lactic acid going on. Low pH. It was kind of skewing the overall flavor. There's a really pleasant chocolate pudding character, just straight up fudgesicle,
like Jello pudding, dude.
Get Bill Cosby in here. Actually, don't, because then I wouldn't be able to drink my drink anymore.
I brewed this beer
too soon.
Not soon enough. Clearly, it's like 30 years not soon enough.
And then in the finish, there was that charred jalapeno flavor that you can get from coffee. Coffee flavor as it changes in beer, it's not particularly pleasant and didn't really meld with the other flavors. But I'm kind of forgiving of it, because it's that's kind of what coffee does in beer. Over time you get that.
It depends on the roast level too. I've found in my
a lot of its age. I think it has something to do with carbon dioxide and how it impacts finished coffee flavor.
Yeah.
Carbon dioxide and coffee are not generally considered to be good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Freshly roasted coffee off-gasses a lot of carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
I'd like to do more research into this. I've only heard things anecdotally about how CO2 destroys or changes anyway finished coffee flavor, which is why when you see coffee on tap, it's never CO2.
No, it's nitro. Yeah.
This is if CO2 and finished coffee were friends, sparkling coffee would be a thing, and it's not. So there's something to that. Part of that is that coffee is acidic, and adding
acid to acid.
Yeah, you're adding when you're adding carbonation, you're adding carbonic acid, you're adding an extra bite. It's I think that's the biggest part of it. Mouthfeel. It was medium bodied. It had a very, very high carbonation, which I did not, to be honest. Sorry, guys, I didn't find that to be pleasant. In the context of the coffee flavors and the pudding flavors, I wanted it to be silky and fluffy, and that high carbonation was just really abrupt and unsettling in terms of the overall arc of flavor. I thought it was an interesting beer with really some clear malt flavors and some nice coffee flavors. I was wondering if there might be a slight contamination, just judging by the creep and even beyond what I was expecting for the low pH from coffee. There was a slight extra tartness there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that really, really high carbonation.
That high carbo, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I thought maybe there might be a little carbonation of some sort of lactic acid bacteria of some kind, which makes sense because it covers everything on the planet, including those coffee beans that you made cold brew with. So high risk. Making beer with coffee is high risk. And then definitely the coffee flavor here wasn't super fresh. It had that that roasted green pepper character that you get, and that taster's choice that you get from some oxidized coffee. But we were talking a little bit before you guys came on, and I got a little hint after I judged, but maybe it's not the freshest, so maybe that's part of that. It's really important to consider. Nathan and I did a cold brewed coffee beer. This is a few years ago now, but we tasted it every day for the first few weeks, and we just kept tracking how the flavor changed. And it was like every day it was a different freaking beer.
Yeah.
Because the coffee flavors changed. Like, we think beer flavors are pretty volatile. Like, coffee flavors are super volatile, and they don't stop changing in the presence of all of the things that are in beer. Like, it's interacting with everything, and those coffee flavors change really fast. And coffee flavor, though, it all is going to end in that, like, taster's choice realm. It's going to end up tasting like that's the flavor of oxidized coffee, right?
Yeah, I may have started best espresso you ever had. And it's like, leave your coffee pot sitting there and taste the same coffee pot every morning for 7 mornings. It's going to be way different at the end. Yeah,
exactly.
I like that point.
What did you score?
Come back to me on that.
And what kind of coffee did you use when you guys did your beer?
Oh.
Like what? Like roast level?
Many moons ago. It would have been a medium roast, but a medium roast 5 years ago is like kind of a medium dark roast now. So.
Because my theory on just working with coffee for as many years as I have and doing beer stuff, the light to medium roasts will give that green pepper.
Oh, I disagree.
That green thing. I probably, but like theirs was a medium roast, yours is a medium roast, and like talking, we've had how many coffee beers on the show on the session, and I can pick it out. It's almost like picking out a warm fermented lager now, where it's like, you didn't this is not a lager. For me, that's what it is. And so every time I'll ask, and they go, oh, it's like a medium roast. Like for me, like an African bean, like a Sumatra on like a darker kind of roast is maybe medium dark. It's also the bean choice as well too. Like if you go like the Mexican coffees, they can have that. You get like the blueberry kind of thing, but when you use them in the coffee, the beer, it can lend. That's just what I've anecdotally again. But
maybe it's the middle bean kind of plant matter in there that's not getting roasted, because it's roasting from the outside, and a more thoroughly roasted bean is going to be all the way through. And
I mean, it's any ingredient. You choose what. I don't know. Each one will have different things. Go ahead, Brian.
I scored 28.
Nicole has tabulated and reached 28. Okay.
No worries. Confirmed by Brian. So
yes,
it's not a lie. She's not lying.
And Price Waterhouse Coopers as well. Aroma-wise, I'm 1/3 of that company, man. I didn't tell you that.
I just do this as a hobby.
Because the S is plural for more than one Cooper.
Yeah.
Ritz cracker.
I am plural. It's the royal we. Aroma-wise, it has honestly, the coffee in it in the aroma to me was pretty pleasant. Mm-hmm. It has some kind of dark coffee character to it. And it didn't instantly scream diner coffee to me. It has a low, smooth alcohol. It's not jumping out. It's not sharp. It's just nice. Okay. Yeah, there's some alcohol here. It's not solventy or intense. Light roast, malt character, a slight, definitely a green peppery edge though, to the coffee, I guess, aroma. The low bittersweet chocolate in there, low esters. I got cherry-like as well. Mm-hmm. And the sweetness is, it doesn't seem like this is going to be a big sweet beer. It smells, there's a little sweetness there. No DMS, no buttery. Again, a chocolatey malt coming through alongside the chocolate. No real big hops jumping out here. It's nice, as you wouldn't want that clashing with everything else. Yeah. Appearance-wise, it's a nice, rich, very clear, rich brown color with kind of garnet mahogany highlights. Pours a very large light tan head, and it just it breaks down. I call it kind of like a crackly head. It just kind of crackles apart and like very unevenly fades and just very quickly dropped out. It's like, okay, there's some, definitely oils in there or something. So dropping that out. And the alcohol is not going to help either. So, but flavor-wise, pretty pleasant porter-based style, I thought, with chocolate, faint roastiness, a bit of cream-like, along with the coffee malt-like characters and the coffee That's in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like a pretty clean ale fermentation. Again, that light green peppery quality does come through. Cocoa is kind of semi-sweet chocolate in there. Not offensive at all.
He sounded very sarcastic right there.
No, it's
not offensive at all. It's fine.
There's a little semi-sweet chocolate in there, and I like that. I wouldn't want it to be super sweet. Although the beer could stand to be a little sweeter. It's on the drier side for the style. But
a lot of the chocolate notes are very. It's a multitude of chocolate notes, which I really do like. It's very deep in that kind of realm. It's not just here's the cocoa, the cocoa nibs or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes you get one that's just over cocoa nibbed, and it's this doesn't seem like that case. It balances with the malt. You can taste both. The bitterness is low enough and out of the way. There's a lot of bitterness coming from the dark malts too, but it's not intense there either. So the balance is overall it's pretty good, and the alcohol is very smooth as well. Mouthfeel wise, it's medium bodied. Has a low smooth warmth, slightly creamy, but a little bit astringent. Possibly from the dark malts and or some of the chocolate or something in there combining to just give a little bite. Medium high carbonation. It was a bit much for the big style, as Nicole said. I agree with that. But yeah, overall impression, the base style seems good. It expresses nicely as an imperial porter. It doesn't taste like a stout or anything else. It just tastes like a big porter.
Yeah.
With the declared ingredients. So that's good. You want to avoid oxidation of the coffee beer to kind of limit that, the coffee to limit that kind of green apple thing. Definitely dial back the CO2 and let that smoothness. It might even seem a little sweeter if you have less of that CO2 kind of pushing up the sharp, malty, roasty, and acidic flavors. It would smooth it out a little bit, possibly. But if it finished drier, you could also work with that to kind of bring up the final gravity a little bit, so there's a little more sweetness there to play off everything else. I don't know if it was a bottling or an aging issue or what, but you want to kind of, it's a pretty good beer. I thought overall I gave it a 30. It's a very good, low end of very good for me, and just, so I understand it's a little bit aged. I would like, it'd be nice to taste it fresher. I'd be interested to hear your impressions of what it was like, 8-10 months ago versus what it is now. How has it progressed? So, thanks for sharing it, though.
You guys want to just rattle off the recipe real fast and then kind of dig into some questions? And
sure.
We'll be done.
This is a 5-gallon recipe. 71.6% Maris Otter, 10.6% 10 Lovibond Munich, 3.5% pale chocolate, 3.5% Crystal 60, 2.3% Crystal Wheat, 2.3% chocolate malt, 2.3% brown malt, and 1.5% aromatic.
Okay. Seems like a pretty decent imperial porter recipe, huh?
Yeah.
There's a lot of malts there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was really trying to layer in the chocolate, like you were saying. So,
do you think that's what's giving it that puddingy kind of character? Or do you think that might be coming from the coffee, or do you think that's a characteristic of both?
The nibs too, right?
Oh, and the cacao nibs.
Yeah.
I recently had an espresso that had this really pervasive chocolate pudding character. So I was wondering if it came from the coffee, or do you think you built it in with the nibs and the malt?
I got to be honest, I think it comes from the malt. From kind of speaking to your point, when we first opened it, the coffee was far more prominent.
Yeah.
So I think it's died down a lot over time.
Yeah.
So to me, that's all come from the
now
malt.
the malts are shining through a little more. I like the use of the pale chocolate is a good choice in there too. It gives some of that middle.
I love pale chocolate
flavor.
God damn,
yeah,
it's so good.
That might be where
heard you say that for years, JP.
Oh, it's so good.
All year,
Well, I'm glad I could. I'm glad I could influence your entire life. I don't know. What about the nibs? How many? Let's talk
syrup,
something I know what.
Yeah.
The syrup. That's right.
Right. So maybe that's where we're getting the cherry from. The fermentation definitely got away from us a little bit too. We fermented a little hot. As far as the nibs go, it was the full pound of cacao nib syrup in 3 cups of boiling water, and cool that down to 90 degrees, and then pitch that into our existing fermentation.
That's weird. Do they give an equivalent of like this would be 4 ounces of nibs,
or this is recommended for a 5-gallon batch. Use the full pound.
You know, I called them up and they said use anywhere from half a pound to a pound.
Okay.
You know.
And you said, fuck it. I got this whole pound. What do I care?
When am I going to brew this type of beer again?
Right.
I will also say, when we were pitching it, we totally fucked up and poured about half of it on the table. So,
so it's half a pound.
We were somewhere in the half a pound to a pound range. You know?
That's fair enough. How was it? How did it smell and how did it taste when you used the syrup? Like when you rehydrated, I guess, or reconstituted it would probably be better.
Yeah, it was just really thick. So, I mean, it's just like basically taking if you had liquid malt extract in it and it, settled to room temperature.
Yeah.
And so we had to kind of heat it back up basically to get it to move.
You can't just drip molasses into your beer, right?
Yeah. But I don't
Did it smell good?
It. Did you?
I don't recall.
Wow, what kind of homebrewers are you guys?
I know.
Jeez. Well, this was a year ago, right?
Kind of drink while we brew.
Yeah. You may not have added it at all. You have no idea.
No clue.
No, I remember. It's on his garage.
Still a stain there.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Cool. Sounds like it was a fun beer to make. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a few questions. I mean, so recipe wise, would you kind of strip that down a bit, or?
Yeah.
So one of the major issues here, I think, is that we're tasting a beer that's
too old.
Yeah, so it's hard to make any conclusive, here's what you should do.
Sure.
Because I think the major issues that we're dealing with is the beer is long in the tooth, and that it might have developed a minor level of contamination, which you would expect from a beer that has a foreign, cold brew substance coming in, right? It's no fault to you. That's why beers like this have to be drank fresh, right? So I think.
I mean, you got to think about
that's the main issue.
Yeah. I would always maybe just recommend simplifying a little bit. What is that brown malt really doing for you? The 2% of brown malt. Can you just bump up the pale chocolate a little bit?
Why are homebrewers so excited about brown malt?
I don't know. Yeah,
because it was new.
I haven't used it, but
it exists. Yeah. It's rustic. It's old. Are you guys hipsters? Is that what's going on? You don't look like total hipsters.
Totally
I mean, are you well, this was the malt that they used in the 1800s, so it must be better. We should use it too, just like my beard wax.
You quoted us exactly what we were.
I don't love the higher crystal malt, so
you're looking for an alternative that's a little bit more base malty and
maybe.
Yeah, I use brown malt because when we got it at More Beer years ago, it was it just added some, I don't want to say tartness, but for me, kind of if you use too much, it was like a tartness, but it was this weird transition between crystal malt and I thought for body, and then I used it once, and I was I don't know.
Maybe left it behind for a reason. Just saying.
No.
I mean, just
what's good enough for the working class in Britain in the 1800s? That's good enough for us.
I think it depends on when it's used. I mean, maybe it could have some of that tart. Mm-hmm. Because in brown malt, if you have too much, I think it can lend some of that. But so maybe you kill it. I don't know. Try the new bottle if you want.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Use brown malt. Experiment with brown malt. Have fun with brown malt. But I just don't. What I'm saying is I don't understand why people are so ooh, brown malt.
Yeah. Because we're homebrewers and we see the thing and we go, let's try the thing.
Yeah,
let's just try it.
We made malt that's way better than that. That's why we stopped using it.
True. Well, to that point, we should all just be drinking Budweiser, right?
Well, fair. I mean, if you take that mentality too far, you get there. But that's just.
Nicole is inspiring me to make a brown malt beer now. Just brown malt and base malt. That's it.
If you're gonna do brown malt, do brown malt. But I just object to ooh, let's put some brown malt in it because brown malt.
Well, sure, but I'm sure there was, yes. I mean, your point is taken. Have some logic behind every grain, but I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible choice. I like the beer.
Yeah, no,
especially for being a year old.
Now, what's this other?
It's the same bottle. It's the same beer, just a different bottle.
Different bottle and a different cold brew.
Different cold brew, right?
Oh, it is a different cold brew.
So the smaller bottles is the cold brew that Gabe used, and the bigger bottle was the cold brew I used, which was a dark light mix from up north in Grass Valley, kind of near Auburn, Caroline's Coffee.
It's a really different character.
I'm getting less green apple in this one.
Green pepper?
Green pepper.
Green
It's
more
sweeter.
cinnamon.
There's a sweeter thing to it also.
There's a cinnamon-like characteristic to the coffee that.
No, they don't. They can't have it. This is...
We kind of know.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I like this better, and I don't know what it has to do with. Either it's the coffee, or if there is a contamination, which there clearly was, maybe that dried it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because this does have some more residual sweetness to it.
And it doesn't have that
And
excessive
for a year,
thinness that you got from the previous one because of the lactic acid that was present. This
and for a
doesn't have
year
that.
old, this beer is rad.
Yeah, this is great for a year old.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Were these bottled from a keg or were they bottled a long time ago?
With the bottling, we brewed this in November. We bottled in February.
Okay.
So it was already, a couple months old.
And stored at room temperature or refrigerated or?
All the bottles were refrigerated.
Yeah.
I mean, my bottling it's just the poor man's beer gun with the picnic tap and the racking cane.
That's what I do.
It works.
But
Clearly.
I was screwing around with the carbonation on this.
For the nice things that we said about this beer,
Excuse me.
the coffee character is slightly less interesting in some ways. Like, it's not, while it's not as oxidized, it's also like less prominent. It
has less aroma.
Yeah, it's
of
not
the
as
coffee.
much a part of the.
Because the sweetness maybe is dialed up a bit more?
No, just because it's different coffee, I think. But yeah.
And that's the same amount of nibbing and everything. It's the same beer, just with different coffee.
Yeah, we did everything, and then in the end, we split the batch in two, and that's when we went our separate ways on the cold brew.
Yeah, that's the fun of split batches, too, because you can figure out, hey, this really works. And, okay, okay.
Right.
Not so much.
Cool.
Quick question. So the bell pepper is an age. It's not something that you get from new coffee?
I think it could be both. I think to Nicole's point about the age can accentuate that. I've gotten green bell pepper from home brews and commercial beers that are 2 months old.
Okay, and then that. So
for me, I think it's bean selection and roast level that can really accentuate that.
It's an oxidation
and then I think it's
thing,
also it could be that as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like coffee grounds that sit out get that green pepper character. It's
I find it like it gets like oxidized ground for me they get more sweet, which is weird. But I mean, I've had commercial beers that don't have that are 6 months old. Yeah. So it's definitely how you're doing it.
Stout is like the one that I point to that like. It gets that green pepper, like roasted jalapeno flavor, like to an extreme degree.
Which one?
The Heated Cheeto Nest
okay.
Stout, and it's mostly an
aging thing.
Yeah, an oxidation thing, which for coffee beer can happen like 2 days after it leaves the brewery. The coffee changes so fast.
So you just want to brew espresso and then pour it into your coffee as you're serving it?
Honestly, that's what I prefer to do.
Let's do that.
I figured out that if you really want a stable coffee flavor,
Let's start a beer and espresso bar, Nicole. It'll be cool.
Better way to do it. Just add the coffee at the time of serving. But we all want something we can just open up and drink nowadays. Thus, people paying money for canned vodka sodas.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Any more questions?
Yeah, just one last one.
Yes.
Well, we had a question too.
But we gotta. Yeah. We're up against it, so let's make it short.
We just wanted to clarify. When did you add the cold brew?
We added the cold brew about a month after brewing, so we were past the fermentation. It was
pretty much done,
point, and we added it while kegging.
Basically at packaging.
It was
Okay, great.
That's smart. You wouldn't want to add it earlier than that.
Yeah, because if you add it earlier than that, then you have the yeast interacting with that, and yeast take up caffeine, and there's all kinds of things that.
Just one quick question on the cherry note. Could that be from the syrup and adding that kind of at the very end of fermentation, or really kind of like a couple weeks into fermentation? We let it get down to like 10
That cherry note could be coming from the coffee, to be honest.
1023.
It could also be coming from your Munich malt.
Okay.
There's too many
Oxidized
places where it
Munich
could be
malt.
coming
Yeah.
from.
All right.
So you got about 10.5% Munich in here, I think you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dried cherry,
One or the other.
Munich malt, and then like a lot of Ethiopian coffees have intense like cherry flavors, winey flavors. So yeah, it's
I think the second one had maybe less cherry in it too.
true.
Yeah. So yeah. Fun stuff though. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You guys good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're gonna do stuff now too, right?
We're going to do stuff. What do we do?
We're gonna give away a grog tag.
$40 gift certificate to grogtag.com. Go there now and use their new beta site, which you'll be prompted to doing. They'll save 25% on the grog tag, whatever you're going to get. So who's going to get the grog tag today, folks?
Yeah. I think, okay.
We're deliberating right now.
Okay. 58.
We're still deliberating right now.
I guess it goes to these guys, right?
Here we go.
Yeah.
All right, Gabe and Ryan.
Gabe and Ryan.
There we go.
Thanks, guys.
Nice work, everybody.
Very close, though, yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And until next month, which is, the Christmas holiday, which I'm very excited about, we'll see you later.
Cheers.